Bay and other places around here goes back thousands of years, right back to the days when people used to write their stories on the side of caves and paint the stories on. So I would like to acknowledge the authors of this area, past, present and emerging. James started writing when he was only a few years old, and started off as comic strips, and then that graduated into from comic strips into videos, and in those videos he would write the script, put on the costumes, put on the video, perform the part of each character, and where those characters perhaps were Russian or some other foreign language, he would teach himself the language relative to that script, and then perform that in that language. And then the video would then put the subtitles on, the music and all that stuff. And then that graduated into writing books and a thing called fan fiction and all this sort of online stuff that those of us my age and older have no idea about. But he struck up a friendship with a fellow named Rassone in Florida, who James wrote him some of his versions of some of his books. And Rassone wrote to James and said, I'm writing this book that's going to have Australian soldiers and Australian places in it. Here's the outline of a chapter that's going to have all these Australians in it. I'd like you to write the chapter for me so that it has the appropriate language and the appropriate names and terminology. So James wrote that particular chapter of the book, and when it got published he was acknowledged in the book. So he's had that international experience to start with. Now, of course, he's written a book of his own, 100% all him, and it's a great read. I quite enjoyed it, and it was quite surprising to a dad to actually read that sort of stuff. Apparently that Central State School and Town High Education wasn't
Stop it.
but yeah, so very happy to have succeeded in that. Of course, this is unlike the other stories he's written. This is a non-fiction book, and I pointed out to James, in the words of modern day philosopher Simon Sinek, that when you go into a bookshop these days, you see large sections on all the different sections, like travel and geography and history and all sorts of stuff. And there's always a big section on self-help. But James, I told him he was reversing the trend, because now there's actually a section on helping others. You see all these self-help books? It's something on helping others. So tell me more about the book. James Byrne.
Thank you. Big disclaimer at the end of that. And even in those films, the Russian military was still the bad guys. So, just a few housekeeping. So, if anyone wants to use the bathroom, it's down there, and the code is the two bottom lines of it. Just so you know. And if anyone would like a book, but we just ran out. We haven't just ran out. Just saying, we've got 47 in attendance at 30 books. So if you want to sign one and you order one, you call me and let me know. I'll sign up. We'll have coffee and whatever. Yeah. All right. Speech time, and there isn't one. Bye. If you look at my note, my notes will be like, I introduce myself, go and then wing it. So this is a book. You can read it. It is a thing, and you're probably wondering how I made it. Well, so it's back in 2019 when I didn't have any work to do, no job. It's like I had a diploma of aviation, but no one noticed it. People still aren't noticing it, by the way. It's like, seriously. But anyway, so my employment agent, Zandy, who was almost here today, but introduced me to the CIC so we could get some work experience up there, admin-wise, and then eventually as the detailed here, make me build up my skills toward B&Q, and that's how I was able to stay more networked into volunteering and also record what happened. Because this all started, and this is so long ago that even I don't remember a few details, but so basically the local history in the library over there, well, I pointed at you when I said that. Everyone, Gary's definitely the member of the library. He will tell you everything happened. And they had a local platform, I think, for that sort of thing. So, which unfortunately I would have loved to tell you more, but Katie doesn't work there anymore. So basically, that's how it started. It was like a basic chapter of the floods that eventually led to Papua New Guinea being tagged on because I worked at YLAM and as deck crew with Dad here, and which so seamlessly transitions into some early reading. So if you look at the contents, you'll see that first of all, how should this book start? With the most recent event, and you turn it into a prologue or something like that, because the 2025 floods, which are still recent in some people's memories, because it was just as brutal as the floods, and of course, and we've had more casualties in this floods, which I acknowledge. So it starts with me waking up in the morning of the first day of February, and this was the first emergency edit I had to write, because I learned at the very last second when everything is ready to go, and I say it's the first day of March 2025. Even now, it's like, how do I forget something that I was just in recently? How was I able to go through a whole flood and then go down to a concert in the same week? So I woke up, and then it's like rain on the tin roof, and what am I doing? I should be reading this, shouldn't I? Oh, there's a prologue it was going to be the prologue, but there's an actual word count. So there were ducks in the flood. I'm beating to it. I said it too. You're on the same page. Oh yeah. It was the first day of February 2025. I had woken up from one of the best sleeps I had in a while, made better by the rain on the roof. Then I leant over and grabbed my charge phone. It was sitting as I had left it while serving the role of reading audiobooks last night. I checked it, and the screen bore a text message that in a single moment turned the mood of the day. The messages from the Townsville Local Disaster Management Group had shifted in tone. At 11:36 a.m., I was unashamedly sleeping in. For context, Mom was down in Brisbane for legal work, and Dad was down there for legal work. And there's still a stigma of living with your parents at 28. It's like, they laugh, but I'm writing up, they laugh, but I say in return, I'm writing up the housing crisis, bitches. Clue, Emmett Park, Adalia, Onumba, Railway Estate, and Rossley, dangerous flooding as expected in 24 hours. You must, in caps, prepare to leave. Oh boy, I thought, here we go again. So for all this prologue, because for all this chapter 1, there was a lot of stuff that I had to omit, because otherwise it would have distracted from the main body of it. So at the end of this, you will all get an email link to the blog that I put together for that. And But still, I did not need to worry, because there was still a bit of hope in that floods. Yes. Within Temptation was coming down to Brisbane at that time in March.
Which is a band people don't know, or bands of.
Yeah, you're gonna be pretty educated in my music choices. Oliver Creek. Back then, it was just an unremarkable dot on the map. But now it is remembered as a bridge that got swept out, and little else, because we're going to move on from that. But you say I say move on from that. But when researching, like I've heard some people say that Townsville does not have a good collective memory of the floods. And I say with this book, you what, mate? I mean, we all know what happened in 2019. That was a fresh reminder of 2025. Mind you, these storms are getting a lot more frequent lately, aren't they? Interesting. And then I would go down to Brisbane, and then Cyclone Alfred would almost ruin all our fun. But excuse me, and see, this is why we need bookmarks in our lives.
Read the bit that says nice things about your dad.
I think he's still trying to find them.
What are you talking about? You were in two whole chapters. We're halfway through. Here we go. So this is the part where I encourage others to share their story in whatever form that entails. So, as I wrote in my blog back then, when a challenge does rise, there will always be a group of volunteers who stand to meet it. By helping communities in time of need, they also light the darkness. They will make the night less empty. Going back to 2019, the Townsville City Library presented a remarkable opportunity for individuals to share their stories and experiences, a commendable initiative that promised to elicit a multitude of inspiring and diverse responses to the question, what did you do to the floods? During the floods? An amazing idea, for that question is guaranteed to inspire and generate many great answers. You probably have an answer. I've answered yourself. You write a book. It's pretty easy to be fair. We'll get to that in a second. So if you feel like you don't have what it takes to share, you won't know until you try. Even if one story is all you have, the difference between 1 and 0 is as great as 1 and infinity. No answer is too great or too small. I've learned from listening to Irish folk music and from the music choices of my late Uncle Peter that there is more than one way to sing a tune. A tune can carry several versions, each one shaped by the singer's voice, the mood of the day, or the memory it carries. It's like, try and find a version of Star of the County Down. Memorize that, and then come across another one, and it's like, I get thrown off on that at time and time. Like, is it the sheen of her nut brown hair, or the shade of her nut brown hair? Yeah, I know that part. There isn't one correct version of a story, as there are many as there are tellers. That is the gentle wisdom in Irish folk music, the tradition that ripples through fields and hearts, past and present, reminding us that there is never one way to sing a tune or tell a story. A melody, once born, weaves its path from heart to heart, gathering new flourishes with every voice that carries it. No two renditions are ever exactly alike. sorry, it's been so long that I've actually. But the point still stands with that. And as this year I've been to many music concerts, if you can't tell. And there are many examples of like artists who don't know, like are in this period of uncertainty, but then they overcome and rise up from it. Like that within Temptation Band, but that was their first ever independent solo, and 2 years after their musician Sharon returned to the band, and there are many other examples as well, like James Hetfield with Metallica coming back after his addiction. Tarja and Nightwish. Floor Jansen collapsed from exhaustion and had breast cancer in the same year, and is still singing as ever as a result of that. As a result of her persistence, I don't know. And if you and once you get signed, I'll be sure to. So here's a story of why I chose to write the one word that I do: persist. So anyone here heard of Rob Redenbach? Okay, can you explain, please? I just need to.
He's a ex-military person who's now on the speaking circuit, inspiring people in relation to management and personal development. He was famous because he was once the personal bodyguard to Nelson Mandela when he was president. And some of the other stories.
And one day we found an audio interview of, we wanted to learn more, didn't we? So you called the guy who did it, and then we got the stuff?
He sent you a signed book.
Yes.
Maybe you can send him one.
And he said persist. So I think no better one word in my opinion for this thing. And then we went, and then so we've covered 2025, and we've covered 2019. But since I worked with YWAM and the deck crew, Dad and I were the deck crew of the medical ship in 2017. That fulfilled that was a long time in making as well. In the early days of Youth Street in 2011, and hearing stories about that in the so eventually we made it to Milne Bay, and then we worked, and now all of a sudden this book becomes a maritime story. But unfortunately, it's not written by the guy who wrote Scrap Iron, Mike Carlton. That was it. And then while we were there, we uncovered a lot of military history, as well as stories of volunteers on the ship from all walks of life. Like during the night, the dinner room was alive with various English, German, and Latin Spanish dialects. And then, again, this will all be in much bigger detail. But if I were to pick a highlight of the Papua New Guinea experience, is when we were on this Dyke Ackland Bay at the top of the. No, we could have used that whiteboard after all. and there was a town called Pongani that we were going from Oro Bay. Back in the day, Pongani used to house B-17s of the U.S. 127th Infantry Regiment. But you never know that now because it's just one village in a quiet neighborhood. But then we were getting my senior officer Brett and I were in the speedboat, and we were getting the last group of people from that day. But the thing with Papua New Guinea is that the weather can change in an instant. For example, we went to, it was like in Milne Bay, where there was a sun right over there, and you turn around and then you see thunder clouds but when we went to Oral Bay, we went from an area where bad weather was common into an area where it was continuous. So the big storm clouds are like, and Brett's like, oh, James, you better get moving. Oh, this is gonna be a big one. And sure enough, the moment that we left the lagoon, the seas get choppy and lightning is striking all around. Judging, it's like, oh, but James, you like a few seconds delay. No, this wasn't a few seconds. This was 1 second. It was that but the fisherman in his canoe didn't care. He was like, oh, just But meanwhile, we're holding on to the rope like so hard that my knuckles turned white from all that, and it was going up and down and up and down, and I was like, oh, I told the lady next to me, she's like, I'll never complain about the weather again in Townsville. And I hold true that promise. I don't complain about the weather, I write books about it instead. and of course there was, so after that, not a lot happens, but then of course, like the floods happened. Well, they didn't just happen, did they? No, they crept up over time. And as I'm sure we are all familiar with the events that happened. It's like a dam went up to 200-something%, and waterfalls everywhere, and crocodiles in trees. And, yeah, no kidding. It's like, now we don't need to make up drop pairs, because now we got to drop crops. And then I was like, I don't want to sit around while the floods are happening. There's like, what are we gonna do? What am I gonna do? And Dad's like, okay, let's go to the lodge and siphon it out, because there's no underwater circulation in the flood, so it was becoming a swamp. And then I met up with YWAM again, and we took part in Team Townsville. That was the one knocking around from door to door and handing out emergency number flyers. And then after that, well, I guess the book goes into several chapters worth of epilogue. Because at this point, it's like the main story of floods is over. So if you just want the floods, then ignore the last few chapters. And then I got a job. And then in 2021, it was like the lowest point, some of the lowest. Just a series of tragic events just made me feel so low sometimes. It's like that's when I left the CIC, and then learned that VNQ was now Volunteering North Queensland was offering a paid job as an admin administration, and so I joined up with that. Met some people like Jackie Becker and Aaron Kiernan, who even during their short 10 years at the B&Q, we managed to make great things happen, like a whole volunteer conference that I wrote about in great detail, and yeah, it was like a big event at the corporate box of the stadium. I never thought I'd be able to do that in a million years. And then the they see Dino chair, get out of here. And then there was like a big conference at the quay, the port, the big ocean liner terminal, and there was like a whole bunch of organizations, and it was a beautiful sight. But unfortunately, then came a change of funding, and all the B&Q managed to escape total shutdown. They couldn't have paid stuff anymore. So that was the end of that chapter. So lastly, you're probably wondering, how do books like these get made? Well, it's like, what I did was, once I made enough to make a book format, so what you do is like you enlist the help of beta readers first. you don't want to, and like not so much friends or family, but people who are like not on this, who are like outside of your circle. That way you'll get a lot more different kinds of feedback. And then you know, do all the usual stuff like proofreading and hire someone to do the blurb, which is the back of the book. It's important that you know what you're doing there, because there's like a whole art to making it marketable and stuff like that. So, for more, I recommend Jess Coney of Book Blurb Magic. Yes. And then I went through a formatting Atticus program, and then went to an Ingram Spark to publish these copies. Well, the links that you see here are from Amazon. But so to conclude this, there was just one thing that I couldn't quite make my mind up on what to create for this book: a dedication page. Because Atticus had a whole section dedicated to the dedication page for your dedication. And I was like, but I can't narrow it. I just could not narrow it down to one dedication. I mean, there was so many options. And yeah, could I have dedicated it? Could I have dedicated it to all the volunteers? Could I have dedicated it in memory to my Auntie Meredith, who passed away in 2021? And that's the main reason why it was such a bad year. And even today, it's like, you know, the world just lacks one little bit of light without her. Or should I have dedicated it to my Uncle Peter, who showed me the way of like that music metaphor, and he passed away just recently. Or to all the volunteers who took part. But then I was like, well, I mentioned them in the book, and I put them in great detail. So I do believe that this is dedication enough. It's like most importantly, it's like I dedicate it to you and the dream that you showed up on the planet to produce. So stick around. Yeah, we've got this one.
I have a book, James.
Oh.
I'm not putting it down.
Yeah.
You stole.
I stole it. No, I haven't paid for it. It's got a square over there. You got a square. I have one of the 30 books. Is that right? One of the 30 books.
Yeah. And this will be the first of many a time I'm like, because it's like normally like you don't really announce something until it's 100% complete. Like I have many non-fictions in the idea, but they're just ideas at this point. But I will say, it's like, do you like pirates? do you like Queensland? Do you like fantasy? Because, well, that idea came to me, and now next thing you know, several chapters worth, all one line worth. So we call that in the writing community pantsing, just writing by the seat of your pants.
More books, working to online. Eat up, drink up, and please have a chat.
So I think you stole the first question, which was, you spoke about going from 0 to 1 book.
Yeah.
Is there going to be additional books afterwards?
Well, so as much as I have like many pictures and of Papua and Townsville, some of which are truly incredible. We stopped in 2 feet for a bit, and there was like these huge canyons that dwarf even the ship, and just so much stuff like that has not been put in print before, like the town of Manau that we went to. Like you try typing in MANAU in Google, you won't find anything. Not this town. Like even the bay we were in, it's got no name on Google Maps. It was a nameless bay for all we knew.
Did you name it? Go on to Google Maps again.
Yeah.
Oh, missed opportunity.
Gulf of America's been taken, but you know.
Second question. process from start to publishing? Was it enjoyable? Did you?
Yeah, enjoyable.
Challenging?
I wouldn't say it was difficult so much as lengthy. In the same way that a long walk is not so much difficult as it is just long. It's like you will get tired, you will get exhausted, and sometimes you'll wonder why did you take that walk? Like what am I doing? And even when I have my what am I doing? It's like I know I'll find the answer. Just give me a moment. And so yeah.
When James was quite young, he once said to me, if I don't get this out on paper, my head will explode.
Yeah, pretty much. I'll probably say several versions of that in some way or another.
I think Peter just nailed it after what you just said is persistence.
Yes. And that's why I picked that one. So.
Thank you, James. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, James.
Oh, just to answer your question again. So will there be other versions of this? Well, I was going to add pictures, but Amazon has like a delivery fee with its pictures. So eventually there'll be a second edition or something like that, maybe, or maybe a whole one. But it's too
The hardback cover.
I need to scan it.
Well done.